Hey guys, ShowFly here, and today it's a completely different style of video. I'm gonna actually give you my top 10 favourite Pokemon from Kanto. Now, a lot of YouTubers have done this top 10 list thing. A lot of those videos are factual, meaning top 10 based stat-wise, used competitively. Other contributes maybe just with an objective view. But I've seen a lot of those videos out there, so I've decided to give my personal favourites of the first generation Pokemon instead, so it's a different kind of feel to it, instead of just listing the same Pokemon over and over and over. Now, before I get into this, let's just talk about the criteria or rules, however you want to say it, that puts these Pokemon in the list. Now, when I was growing up, the first Pokemon game I ever played through was Pokemon Fire Red. So I'm actually going to list these Pokemon with my reasonings being to do with the Gen 3 remakes. And occasionally the games after that, as some Gen 1 Pokemon, if not some then most, were seen in newer games, like Magikarp was seen in like every game. Stats and other attributes will obviously play a part into this too though, like it's not all just nostalgia based, that's not really a good thing to do. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into my top 10 favourite Kanto Pokemon. Starting off this list with the number 10 spot is none other than the no-winged meme flyer itself, Dodrio. Dodrio's design I think is actually quite cool. I like the three heads, like sort of having their own personalities. It kind of reminds me of Siamese twins in a way, where one head, like the middle head, is arrogant and shouts a lot, where one head is depressed and tired of the other's shit, while the third head is just like pissed off all the time. It's by far the best flying option in Gen 3 remakes, and even Gen 1 itself in my opinion. You could argue Charizard, but Charizard is more of a special attacker in my opinion, and flying is physical in Gen 1 to 3, so that doesn't really help him out there. There's the obvious legendary bird Pokemon, plus Dragonite and Aerodactyl, they're there too. But you get those so late game, and I don't really think the legendary birds are that exciting anyways. Especially Zapdos, it's so bad with its spiky ass wing. Anyway, Dodrio is a monster, having a nasty base 110 in attack and speed. It's not super great on the defensive side, but no stat is particularly bad on it. When it comes to its move pool though, it's also not that great. Hence why it's in the number 10 spot. Its only viable coverage move from Gens 2 to 3 is Steel Wing. Gen 1 doesn't really get any coverage moves. Gen 4 to 6, Feint Attack could be used as it's physical now, but even then it's not that strong. It got better in Gen 7 however when it got to learn Jump Kick and Sword Stance by level up, meaning it had more coverage, and Jump Kick is a very decent attack anyway. Very decent, is that a describing word? Oh well. So paired with having access to doduo as early as Celadon City to help defeat Eric's grass types? Yeah, Dodrio takes number 10 spot on my list. Number 9 spot goes to Dodrio. I think I'm beginning to notice a theme with these three-headed Pokemon. I guess I just seem to really like the designs. As much as I love Dodrio however, I feel like his design is a little lazy. Just using 3 Digletts, like that's kind of its whole concept. That aside, it's actually very similar in its stats to Dodrio, just with weaker defenses and a 50 base stat total less. It's more fragile than Glass with its 120 base speed and 100 attack though, so it kind of does make up for its defenses in the fact that it can sweep Pokemon with Earthquake for sure. You don't get Earthquake until level 51, or the TM from Giovanni in the Gen 3 remakes, but it's definitely on par with being the best ground type in Gen 1 with Nidoking, in my opinion. Although I do think Nidoking is a bit better move pool and coverage wise. Although, I'm never shy of picking one up in Diglett's Cave next to Vermilion and using it to destroy Lieutenant Surge's electric types from my 3rd gym badge. With the obvious stab choice in Earthquake, Dodrio has a decent move pool Gen 2 onwards, with access to coverage moves like Sludge Bomb and Rock Slide, making it an easy choice banded Pokemon to sweep with if you wanted to go that route competitively. As I just mentioned it, I'm going to make my number 8 spot on this list Nidoking, or Nidoking, however you want to say it. Well, like I mentioned before, its move pool is incredible. Just feast your eyes upon this. Being able to get Nidoking as early as level 16 in Mount Moon 2, which is only just after defeating the first gym leader Brock in the Kanto games, incredible. That early in the game is insane, and it continues to dominate Kanto pretty much throughout the whole game and after game. Its design is so badass too, I mean just look at it. If you saw this thing using Mega Horn towards you, you're running. It may not be the fastest Pokemon, but it's still going to outspeed a lot of opponents with its base 85 speed. Accompanied with its very decent defenses and HP, this thing won't be going down easily, and on top of that, a really solid base 102 speed, Overall, I say this Pokemon is definitely one to consider when planning a Kanto playthrough. Coming in at number 7, we got Polywrath. I bet some of your faces are a little confused right now. It's not that great of a Pokemon. There are plenty of water types and fighting types with better stats, but hear me out. Polywrath was a part of my first ever playthrough team of Pokemon Fire Red, so it holds nostalgia value for sure. Its dual typing of water and fighting is super unique though, and I actually really like both types. Its sprite design is a little lazy because it just looks like a Poliwhirl on steroids, and nothing else more. It does, however, have a very solid well-rounded stat spread with a base total of 510, which is actually quite high. It's let down slightly in special attack and speed, being 70, but it's still not awful and both can be used very well. Especially considering its 90 base and the rest of its stats. Apart from 95 in attack. You can catch one in the Kanto games using a good rod. Well, not a Poliwrath, but you can start with a Poliwag. Or if you want to go straight to Poliwhirl, you can use a Super Rod in a ton of locations across the region. It's pretty early access too, just around mid-game. Now, its move pool is very versatile. Although a lot of its coverage moves are special, there are some good choices. The best ones in my opinion being Psychic, Ice Beam for Gen 1 and 3 and onwards, or Ice Punch for Gen 2, and Earthquake. It gets other moves too, for sure, but those are the ones I tend to go for. Its coverage moves consist of a lot of fighting moves like Brick Break, Submission, those kind of moves. And then pretty much Surf and Waterfall. Not to mention, it was my first Pokemon to ever get level 100. Clefable is at number 6. At least in the Gen 3 remakes. Its design is really cute and kinda silly, but I like it. It's similar to Nidoking in a way that it evolves using a Moonstone very early in the game, and has a very wide move pool. In Gen 3, it gets a huge range of moves such as Water Pulse, Calm Mind, Toxic, Ice Beam, Solar Beam, Thunderbolt, Psychic, Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, and a lot more. Like, my god, do you see this? You can do whatever you want with this Pokemon. You can make it a stalling set with leftovers, Toxic, Protect, Double Team, Light Screen, or Reflect. Or a coverage set with Flamethrower, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and Calm Mind. Its base stat total is an average of 483, which is decent. 90 special defense and 95 HP really make up its bulk. 95 special attack is what makes this Pokemon so good though. The only thing that lets it down is its 60 speed. But with its bulk it has, I'm never really worried about outspeeding things, when Clefable could just take hits all day. Not to mention how easily you can speedrun with this Pokemon. Now moving on to the second half of the list. Number 5, Gengar. Now, there isn't much to say about Gengar that hasn't already been said. It's one of the most liked Pokemon through all the generations, and I happen to be one of its fanboys. Its design is spooky but funny at the same time. It was portrayed perfectly in the anime, I think, and I love how this can make you laugh or give you nightmares. It was the only fully evolved ghost type of the first generation, making it the only one at that point. As for some reason Ghost is physical in Generation 1 to 3, it kinda doesn't get great usage of its stab, being Ghost and Poison, both of those being physical in these generations. Gengar's attack stat is a tiny 65, which really sucks. This is why I have to have it no higher than 5 on the list. However, after the physical special split in Gen 4, this thing became a powerhouse. No, the powerhouse of ghost types for a long time. Gengar has an insane base special attack stat in 130 in a Gen 3 playthrough, and a very speedy 110 speed, making this Pokemon a threat for sure, being one of the highest special attackers in the generation. Without using its stab to its potential, its special attack is so high and has a decent coverage move pool to make it useful in Generation 3 anyway, having access to Thunderbolt, Psychic, and you could use other moves like Giga Drain. It shreds Gen 4 and beyond though. I love this spooky Pokemon. Number 4, Dragonite. Holy damn, Dragonite is a monster, being the only fully evolved dragon type in Generation 1, and being still the strongest in my opinion for a lot of generations to come. Its design is so random after being this elegant dragon snake, and then becoming this fat man in his 40s who drank a lot of beer. Jokes aside though, I still really like it. It's sort of a different twist to what a dragon should look like, and I love its shiny too. Its stats are through the roof. Being a pseudo legendary, I can see why. But look at it, not a single bad stat. Its speed could be better, but it's not bad by any means. Dragon being special in Generation 3 means that its stab is special. Although its attack stat is a staggering 134, it doesn't matter, its special attack is still 100, which is insane. So it's not really that much of a bother. It can take hits like a tank, and can dish out even more than it can take. This thing is an overall powerhouse, and I've always used one at post-game. Noticed how I said post-game though? The only drawback to this Pokemon in Generation 1 to 3 at least, is how late you can get it. You're stuck with a mediocre Dragonair until level 55. Like, I'm at the Pokemon League and I'm not even that level yet. But once you do train up a Dragonair, eventually, with its slow experience rate, it is all worth it, trust me. Now, let's talk about its move pool. Even at Generation 1 it's not that bad, with access to moves like Body Slam, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt and Hyper Beam, to accompany that 134 attack stat. In Generation 2, it improves vastly with its level up moves and TMs, and Gen 3 even more so. It only improves with Generation, which is why I love this Pokemon. Now here we are, the top 3. Remember this is my own opinion, based on my own experiences and nostalgia value, hence why these last 3 are all the way up here, when others low on the list are better in game. So with that said, my number 3 pick is Slowbro. Slowbro is so fucking cool. Its design is among one of the best in all Pokemon in my opinion. I love how it's described when it evolves. When a Slowpoke went hunting in the sea, its tail was bitten by a Shelder that made it evolve into Slowbro. The Shelder that latches onto Slowpoke's tail is said to feed on the host's leftover scraps, though usually dim-witted, it seems to become inspired if the Shelder on its tail bites down. I love that idea. It's funny how a Shelder becomes a part of another Pokemon. It's a cool concept. Anyway, that aside, it's placed this high on the list purely because of my own experience with it. Growing up, I've always loved it. Although I grew up with Pokemon Fire Red, I couldn't use one as it was a Leaf Green exclusive. But when I eventually bought Leaf Green, damn did I use it a lot. On top of how much I thought it looked cool, its stats are, well, they're really good. It's base 100 in special attack for its power, 110 defense, 18 special defense and 95 in HP, makes this Pokemon super bulky, with having a core typing of Water and Psychic. Its speed is super low though, with only a base 30, which makes it the second best Water and Psychic type though in my opinion. You can choose to run a bunch of different sets with Slowbro, with having access to a range of different moves. Like Clefable, it can run Calm Mind, Ice Beam, Psychic and Flamethrower, as well as being able to stall, with moves like Protect, Toxic, Amnesia and Rest. It'll take hits all day and dish out that damage right back to you. Not to mention it looks cool. Did I mention that? In the number 2 spot, we have Starmie. Remember how I mentioned Slowbro was the second best Water and Psychic type to its generation? Yeah, Starmie blows it out of the water. Pun intended. It can literally take on most of the Elite Four in Kanto by itself, having access to moves like Thunderbolt for Lorelei's water types, Bruno's rock and fighting types with Surf and Psychic, Agatha's poison types with Psychic, Lance's team with Ice Beam, Thunderbolt and Surf, and all of your rivals' team. It's so good. Paired with its 100 special attack stat and 115 speed, no one will outspeed this demon. And it'll shred. I just love this thing, and its design is kind of odd and spooky. Like the jaw in the middle of its body is like a source of power or something. I love that idea. Once again though, this is a version exclusive Pokemon to Gen 3's Leaf Green. I personally think that it's deserving of number 2, but you guys are more than welcome to talk about your opinions on your top 3 favourites in the comments. Now, before I reveal my number 1 pick, I've got a few honourable mentions that didn't quite make it onto the list. These Pokemon are Gyarados, Insane Attack. I always thought Gyarados was made for this Pokemon due to its name. Arcanine is another, just badass. Alakazam, the best non-legendary for special attack in Gen 1. Scyther, frickin' swords for hands? Yes please. And Aerodactyl, my favourite fossil Pokemon with amazing attack and speed. It's just too late game. Okay, well, I don't know if anyone saw this coming, but my favourite Kanto Pokemon is Charizard. I know, a big shocker. Now, a lot of people fanboy over this fire dragon, and I gotta admit, I did too, and sometimes still do. But this is my first ever Pokemon, like, ever in any game. My first Pokemon playthrough was Fire Red, and Blaze the Charizard was my pick. I still have him now on my cartridge. It's not the same save, but I was sure to trade him over a few games to keep him alive. with no surprise, he's sitting at a pretty beautiful level 100. Rotting away in the PC because I haven't actually played that cartridge in over. Pushing nostalgia aside, let's talk about Charizard's stats. It's got a base of 534, which is a little bit better than the other two starters. Although I agree that Venusaur is the best starter statistically throughout Kanto, I'm going to stick with my boy. It can for sure take a few hits with 78 defense, 85 special defense and 78 HP. So it's not great, but it's not that bad on that side of things. It's pretty well rounded too. Its attack stat is 84, so in generation 1 to 3, stab isn't great considering it's part flying type. But with a base 100 speed and 109 special attack, it's going to bulldoze through Kanto. Having access to moves like Dragon Claw 2, with Dragon being special in these generations, hell yeah, let's go Charizard. There's a lot of reasons with my own experience as to why Charizard is at the top of the list, but I won't go too crazy with it as I'll be talking all day. So we'll end it there. So there we have it, that was my top 10 Pokemon from Kanto. What did you think of the list? Are any of these Pokemon in your favourites list too? If not, what's your list? Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, hit like. I've never done a video like this before, so doing it for the first time is me testing the waters with maybe a series, so liking the video and commenting really helps. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you like, and I'm out. See ya!